He watched his daughter cry for 3 months straight. Every single day. Every single night. Then a woman in a yellow dress made her laugh in 30 seconds. That's when he knew. He was in trouble. Jin-woo Park is a Korean Mafia boss. Zara Williams is a black American teacher from Atlanta. She doesn't know who he really is. He doesn't know she's about to change his entire life. This is the story of forbidden love, dangerous secrets, and a 6-year-old girl who decided they were family. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why some love stories are worth risking everything for. But first, I need to tell you about the moment Jin-woo Park's carefully controlled world started to fall apart. It started with a security camera. And a woman who smiled like sunshine. Quick thing before we start, my mom bet me this video could hit 1,000 subscribers. She believes in this story that much. So if you love Afro-Korean romance, hit that like button right now. Comment your country below so I can see where my global family is watching from. Are you in Europe? The US? UK? South Korea? I want to know. And subscribe because this is part 1 of 10, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Let's surprise my mom together. Now, let's get into this story. The security feed was grainy, but clear enough. A small figure hunched over in a too big chair. Shoulders shaking, Jin-woo Park's jaw tightened as he watched his daughter sob in the principal's office of Riverside Elementary. The mahogany doors of Riverside Academy's principal office burst open with enough force to rattle the pretentious oil paintings on the walls. Jin-woo Kong didn't knock. Men like him never did. Where is she? His voice cut through the room like a blade, cold, precise, and sharp enough to make the principal flinch. Behind him, 2 men in black suits flanked the doorway, hands clasped in front of them, faces blank. The kind of men who made parents pull their children closer in parking lots. Principal Morris stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. Mr. Kong, I assure you. My daughter was expelled. Again. Jin-woo's dark eyes swept the room, landing on a woman standing by the window. She hadn't turned around. Hadn't even flinched at his dramatic entrance. This is the 3rd time this semester. Do you understand how this reflects on you? The woman finally turned, and Jin-woo's words died in his throat. She was stunning. Warm brown skin that seemed to glow in the afternoon light, natural curls pulled back from a face that held zero fear and a whole lot of judgment. She wore a simple blue dress that somehow made her look both professional and entirely unbothered by the mini-mob boss invasion happening in front of her. I'm sorry, she said, not sounding sorry at all, but are you seriously more concerned about your image than why your daughter felt the need to cheat on her history exam? The room went silent. Even the principal looked like he wanted to crawl under his desk. Jin-woo's jaw tightened. Excuse me. You heard me. She crossed her arms, and Jin-woo noticed a small tattoo on her wrist, a bird in flight. I'm Maya Thompson, by the way. The teacher who caught Hannah red-handed with answers written on her desk. And before you threaten to sue me or have your... She glanced at his guards. Associates intimidate me. I quit this morning. You what? Quit. Quit. I'm done with this place. Maya walked toward him, and somehow Jin-woo felt the need to brace himself. These kids have everything handed to them, no accountability, no real education, just parents throwing money at problems. Your daughter? She's brilliant. Actually brilliant. But she's so desperate for your attention that she's failing on purpose. Jin-woo felt something crack in his chest. You don't know. I know she asks about you constantly. I know she watches the door during every class hoping you'll show up to one school event. I know she purposely gets expelled because that's the only time you rush to the school. The truth hit him like a physical blow. Before he could respond, the door flew open again. A 12-year-old girl with long black hair and tears streaming down her face ran straight past him. Ms. Thompson, please. Hannah grabbed Maya's hand. Please don't go. You're the only teacher who's ever actually taught me anything. The only one who cares if I... She broke off, crying harder. Jin-woo watched his daughter, his fierce, independent daughter, fall apart over a teacher she'd known for 3 weeks. The same daughter who barely showed him emotion anymore. Maya knelt down, wiping Hannah's tears. Hey. You're going to be fine, sweetheart. You're so smart and so capable. But I need you. Hannah sobbed. Everyone else just gives me as and lets Dad donate money. You actually make me work, and I like it. Something shifted in Jin-woo's chest. A decision formed before he could overthink it. Ms. Thompson. Maya looked up at him, still holding his daughter. I'd like to offer you a position. He ignored the principal's squeak of protest. Private tutor for Hannah. Full-time. Triple your current salary. Maya stood up slowly, one eyebrow raised. Triple. Plus accommodation on my estate. Full benefits. Complete access to any resources you need for her education. And you'll stay out of my way? Let me actually teach her without interference. Jin-woo hesitated. Control was his language, his religion. Letting go felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. But Hannah was looking at him with hope for the first time in months. Yes. Quadruple the salary, Maya said calmly. And I get full authority over her curriculum. You don't get to override my decisions or undermine my teaching. If she fails a test, she fails. If she earns an A, she earns it. The audacity should have offended him. Instead, Jin-woo found himself fighting a smile. Done. Maya blinked, clearly not expecting him to agree so easily. Okay. Done. Good. My staff will collect you tomorrow morning at 9. He turned to leave, then paused. And Ms. Thompson? Pack for an extended stay. How extended? Jin-woo looked back at her, something dangerous and warm flickering in his eyes. However long it takes. Maya had expected luxury. Rich people always had nice houses. She had not expected this. The car, a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than her student loans, pulled through iron gates that belonged on a medieval castle. The driveway alone was longer than her street back home. Perfectly manicured gardens stretched in every direction, and the house. That's not a house, she muttered. That's a damn palace. The driver, a stoic Korean man named Mr. Park, almost smiled. Mr. Kong prefers estate, miss. Of course he does. The car stopped at the main entrance, where a woman in her 50s stood waiting, her posture military straight but her smile genuine. Ms. Thompson, welcome. I'm Mrs. Cho, the head of household staff. Mr. Kong has instructed us to make you comfortable. That's very kind, but I'm really just here to. Mrs. Cho was already leading her inside, through a foyer with marble floors and a chandelier that could double as a spacecraft. Your quarters are in the west wing. Private living room, bedroom, bathroom, and a small kitchen if you prefer to prepare your own meals. However, our chef is available 24 hours. I'm sorry, my quarters? Yes, miss. Mr. Kong was very specific. You're to have complete privacy and comfort. Maya followed her up a grand staircase, trying not to gawk like a tourist. The walls displayed art that looked museum quality, some traditional Korean pieces, others modern abstracts. Mrs. Cho opened double doors to reveal an apartment that was bigger than Maya's actual apartment back in the city. This is too much. Mr. Kong doesn't believe in half measures. Mrs. Cho's eyes twinkled. Hannah is in the library. She's been asking about you every 10 minutes since breakfast. That made Maya smile. Tell her I'll be there in 20 minutes? I just want to settle in a bit. Of course, miss. Alone, Maya explored her new space. The bedroom had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a garden with a fountain. The bathroom had a tub that could fit 3 people. The closet was a walk-in the size of her old bedroom. On the dresser, she found a handwritten note. Ms. Thompson. Thank you for giving Hannah, and me, a second chance. Whatever you need, ask. You have full authority here. JWK. The handwriting was precise, controlled, each letter perfectly formed. Just like the man himself. Maya pushed thoughts of Jin-woo aside and changed into comfortable clothes, jeans and a light sweater, before heading to find Hannah. The library was exactly where Mrs. Cho said it would be, and it was spectacular. 2 stories of books, comfortable reading chairs, and windows that flooded the space with natural light. Hannah was curled up in a window seat, reading. She looked up and her entire face lit up. Ms. Thompson. Hey, sweetheart. Ready to actually learn some stuff? They settled into a routine quickly. Maya was impressed. When Hannah wasn't trying to fail, she was remarkably bright. They worked through math, laughed through literature, and debated historical events. 3 hours flew by. I think that's enough for today, Maya said, closing the textbook. Already? But we were just getting to the good part. The good part of algebra? You make it interesting. Hannah grinned. Not like my other tutors who just gave me answers. They were packing up when the library door opened. Jin-woo walked in, and Maya's breath caught. He'd shed the intimidating suits from yesterday. Now he wore dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing surprisingly muscular forearms. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked human, touchable. Dangerous thoughts, Maya. How did it go? He asked, his eyes on Hannah. Great. Ms. Thompson explained derivatives using pizza. Pizza, Dad. It finally makes sense. Jin-woo's lips twitched. Pizza mathematics. Revolutionary. Mock me all you want, Maya said, standing up. But she gets it now. His eyes shifted to her, and the intensity made her stomach flip. I wasn't mocking. I was impressed. The air in the library suddenly felt thinner. Hannah looked between them, a slow smile spreading across her face. Dad, are you going to stand there staring, or are you joining us for dinner? Jin-woo cleared his throat. I have work. Please? Hannah grabbed his hand. Ms. Thompson should eat with us. It's weird if she eats alone. I don't mind, Maya started. Please, Ms. Thompson? Hannah turned those big eyes on her. Maya laughed. Okay. Dinner sounds nice. Dinner was complicated. The dining room could seat 20, but they sat at one end, Hannah between Jin-woo and Maya. The food was incredible, a mix of Korean dishes and some American comfort food that made Maya suspect Mrs. Cho had done research. This kimchi is amazing, Maya said, savoring another bite. Mrs. Cho's recipe, Jin-woo said. She's been with our family for 20 years. Our family. She helped raise me after my mother died. The confession was quiet, personal. Maya saw Hannah's hand reach for her father's, squeezing gently. I'm sorry, Maya said softly. Jin-woo nodded, then changed the subject. Hannah tells me you're from Atlanta. Born and raised. Moved here for a teaching position 3 years ago. Do you miss it? Sometimes. Miss the food mostly. The culture. My grandmother's sweet tea. What brought you to teaching? Maya smiled. My 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Williams. I was a mess of a kid, bouncing between houses, no stability. She saw something in me, pushed me, believed in me. Changed my whole trajectory. I wanted to do that for other kids. Jin-woo studied her with an intensity that made her skin warm. And Hannah? Do you see something in her? I see a brilliant girl who's terrified of disappointing the person she loves most. The words landed like stones in still water. Hannah suddenly became very interested in her rice. Jin-woo's jaw tightened. I never wanted her to feel. I know, Maya said gently. But impact matters more than intention. The moment stretched, heavy with unspoken words. Then Hannah yawned dramatically. I'm exhausted. All that learning wore me out. Jin-woo's expression softened. Bed, then. School day tomorrow. It's summer. Hannah protested, but she was smiling. Learning doesn't take vacations. He stood, kissing the top of her head. Go. I'll check on you in 10 minutes. Hannah hugged Maya tight. Thank you for today. Anytime, sweetheart. After Hannah left, silence settled over the dining room. Maya stood to leave, but Jin-woo's voice stopped her. Stay, please. She turned. He'd moved closer, hands in his pockets, looking almost nervous. I wanted to thank you, he said. I haven't seen Hannah this happy in years. She just needed someone to pay attention. She needed you. His eyes held hers. And so do I. Maya's heart hammered. Mr. Kong. Jin-woo. Please call me Jin-woo. That wouldn't be appropriate. Nothing about this situation is appropriate, Ms. Thompson. He stepped closer, and Maya caught his scent, something expensive and woodsy that made her head spin. You called out a dangerous man in front of witnesses. You demanded quadruple salary without blinking. You walk around my home like you own it, and somehow, everyone respects you more for it. Is that a problem? It's fascinating. His voice dropped lower. You're fascinating. Maya should step back. Should remind him she works for him. Should do literally anything except stand there drowning in his gaze. Jin-woo. The moment shattered as his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire demeanor shifted, shoulders straightening, face hardening into that cold mask she'd seen yesterday. I have to take this. He stepped back, already moving toward his office. Good night, Ms. Thompson. And just like that, he was gone. Maya released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. What the hell was she getting herself into? Later that night, Maya couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts, too much tension, and a ceiling she wasn't used to staring at. She wandered downstairs in her pajamas, soft shorts and an old college t-shirt, looking for the kitchen. The house was quiet, moonlight streaming through enormous windows. She found the kitchen, a chef's dream with marble counters and top-of-the-line appliances, and started searching for tea. Third cabinet on the left. Maya spun around, nearly dropping the mug she'd grabbed. Jin-woo sat at a small breakfast nook she hadn't noticed, a glass of amber liquid in his hand. He'd changed into casual clothes, dark joggers and a fitted black t-shirt that showed off a build that suggested he did more than sign paperwork. You scared me, she said, hand on her chest. Sorry. Couldn't sleep either. He gestured to the seat across from him. Join me. Every rational part of her brain screamed no. But Maya found herself making tea and sitting down anyway. What keeps you up? She asked. Work. Responsibilities. Regrets. He took a sip of whiskey. The usual. That's a depressing usual. What about you? Why can't you sleep? New place. New, everything. She wrapped her hands around her mug. Plus, I keep thinking about Hannah. About how to help her. You've known her 3 weeks and you're losing sleep over her well-being. Jin-woo shook his head, something like wonder in his eyes. I've known her 12 years and I still don't know how to reach her. You're reaching her now. By letting her fail, by letting me teach her for real, you're showing her you trust her. I'm showing her I trust you. The weight of that statement settled between them. Can I ask you something? Maya said. And you can tell me it's none of my business. You've already made my business yours. Might as well continue. Where's Hannah's mother? Jin-woo's fingers tightened on his glass. For a moment, Maya thought he wouldn't answer. She left when Hannah was 2. Said she didn't sign up for this life, this world. She wanted freedom more than she wanted us. His voice was carefully neutral, but Maya heard the old pain underneath. I haven't heard from her since. Neither has Hannah. I'm sorry. Don't be. She made her choice. I made mine, to build something better for Hannah, to protect her from my world. He laughed bitterly. Instead, I just built walls around her. Walls can come down. Can they? Jin-woo looked at her, and in the dim kitchen light, he looked younger, more vulnerable. I've spent 15 years building an empire on control and fear. I don't know how to be soft. You were soft with Hannah at dinner. When you kissed her head, when you called her to bed, that was soft. That's different. Why? Because she's my daughter. She's the only pure thing in my life. And what am I? The question came out before Maya could stop it, bold and dangerous. Jin-woo stared at her, something dark and hungry flickering across his face. You, he said slowly, are the most dangerous person I've ever met. Me? Dangerous? Maya laughed. I'm a teacher. Exactly. He leaned forward, and Maya's breath hitched. You see through me. You're not afraid. You challenge me, push back, make me question everything I've built. His eyes dropped to her lips, then back up. You make me want things I swore I'd never want again. The kitchen felt too small, too warm. Jin-woo. Tell me to stop. His voice was rough, desperate. Tell me this is inappropriate, that you're just here for Hannah, that I'm crazy for feeling this way after 2 days. Tell me, and I'll never mention it again. Maya should say all of those things. Should remind him about professional boundaries and power dynamics and common sense. Instead, she whispered, "What if I don't want you to stop?" The air ignited. Jin-woo stood slowly, moving around the table. Maya's heart pounded as he stopped in front of her, close enough to touch but not touching. "Then we're both in trouble," he said softly. He reached out, tucking a curl behind her ear. The simple touch sent electricity down her spine. "You should be afraid of me, Maya." His thumb traced her jawline. "My world is dark. Dangerous. People around me get hurt." Maya stood, bringing them even closer. She had to tilt her head up to meet his eyes, but she didn't back down. "Maybe," she said, "you should be afraid of me." Jin-woo's eyes darkened. "Why's that?" "Because I don't scare easily. And I have a habit of breaking through walls." His hand slid to cup her face, and Maya's breath caught. They were so close now, his warmth surrounding her, his scent intoxicating. "Maya," he breathed, and hearing her name in that voice nearly undid her. He leaned down, his lips inches from hers. "Dad." They sprang apart like guilty teenagers as Hannah's voice echoed from upstairs. "Dad, I had a nightmare." Jin-woo closed his eyes, jaw clenched. When he opened them, the vulnerability was gone, replaced by the controlled mask. "I should go," Maya said, trying to calm her racing heart. "She needs you." He nodded, stepping back. But at the kitchen door, he paused. "This conversation isn't over." Then he was gone, taking all the heat with him. Maya collapsed back in her chair, pressing her hands to her flushed cheeks. What the hell was she doing? The next week passed in a beautiful, torturous routine. Days were for Hannah, lessons that ranged from advanced mathematics to African American history. "You can't teach American history without teaching all of American history," Maya insisted. Evenings were family dinners where Hannah chattered endlessly. Jin-woo watched Maya with barely concealed longing, and Maya pretended her skin wasn't on fire every time their hands accidentally touched. Nights were the hardest. They kept finding each other in the kitchen, always accidental, always late, always ending with almost kisses interrupted by responsibilities or common sense. "We can't keep doing this," Maya said on the 5th night, after Jin-woo had backed her against the counter, his hands on either side of her, their lips so close she could taste his whiskey. "I know," he breathed, not moving away. "I work for you." "I know. Hannah needs stability, not confusion." "I know, Maya. I know all of it." His forehead dropped to hers. "Tell me you don't feel this." She couldn't. God, she couldn't lie about something this consuming. "That's what I thought," he whispered, before pulling away and leaving her trembling in the kitchen. By day 7, Maya was losing her mind. She was in the library with Hannah, reviewing essay structure, when Mrs. Cho knocked softly. "Excuse me, Ms. Thompson. There are visitors for Mr. Kong. He's asked that you and Hannah remain here until they leave." Something in her tone made Maya's instincts prickle. What kind of visitors? Mrs. Cho's face was carefully blank. "Business associates." Through the library's tall windows, Maya saw 3 black SUVs pull up. Men in expensive suits emerged, not the kind who worked in corner offices. These men had hard eyes and harder edges. One of them Maya recognized from somewhere. News? A documentary she'd watched? Jin-woo met them at the entrance, and Maya watched his entire demeanor shift. Gone was the man who smiled at his daughter's jokes. In his place stood someone cold, commanding, dangerous. He spoke rapidly in Korean, gesturing sharply. The men bowed slightly, respectful but wary. This wasn't a business meeting. This was something else entirely. "Ms. Thompson." Hannah's voice was small. "Should we be worried?" Maya looked at the girl, saw the fear she was trying to hide. "No, sweetheart. Your dad's got this. Now, let's talk about your thesis statement." But Maya kept one eye on the window. The meeting lasted an hour. When the men finally left, Jin-woo stood in the driveway, shoulders tight with tension. He pulled out his phone, made a call, his face cold as ice. Maya had seen dangerous men before. Growing up in Atlanta, she knew what street power looked like. But this? This was different. This was organized, powerful, deeply rooted. This was exactly what she'd suspected but hadn't let herself fully acknowledge. That evening, Hannah went to bed early, claiming exhaustion. Maya didn't believe it for a second. The girl was giving them space, but she didn't argue. She found Jin-woo in his study, staring out the window with a glass of whiskey. "You can ask," he said without turning around. Maya closed the door behind her. "What do you really do?" He turned slowly, his face unreadable. "What do you think I do?" "I think you run an organization that operates outside the law. I think those men today weren't business associates, they were checking in with their boss. I think the reason you have this level of security, this level of control, is because you have to." Jin-woo studied her for a long moment, then sighed. "I run a syndicate. We control shipping, real estate, several legitimate businesses, and yes, some less legitimate operations. Nothing that hurts innocents, no drugs, no trafficking, but we exist in the gray areas. We enforce our own justice, handle our own conflicts." "The Korean Mafia," Maya said, oddly calm. "I hate that term, but essentially, yes." He set down his glass. "Now you know. And now you should leave." "Should I?" "Maya, I'm not one of your students you can reform. This is who I am. What I am." She walked closer, watching him tense. "You're also a man who reads bedtime stories to his daughter. Who builds her an entire library because she loves books. Who drinks tea at midnight and talks about his regrets. That doesn't erase." "I grew up in East Atlanta, Jin-woo. My neighborhood was run by the disciples. My uncle was deep in that life, not the top, but deep enough that I understand how it works." She stopped in front of him. "I know the difference between men who do it because they enjoy hurting people and men who do it because it's the world they inherited or the only option they had." "Which one am I?" "You're the one trying to keep his daughter away from it. You're the one who wants better. That tells me everything." Jin-woo's control cracked, and he reached for her, pulling her against him. "You should run, Maya. Everyone smart runs from me." "Well," she said, wrapping her arms around his neck, "I've never been accused of being too smart for my own good." "Maya. Shut up and kiss me already." So he did. And it was explosive, all the tension from the past week igniting at once. His hands in her hair, her back against the desk, his mouth hot and demanding against hers. She tasted whiskey and desperation and something that felt dangerously like forever. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jin-woo pressed his forehead to hers. "This is insane." "Completely," Maya agreed. "We should stop." "Probably." "Hannah is probably listening through the door and mentally planning our wedding." Jin-woo laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. "She does like you more than me. She's a smart kid." Maya pulled back slightly, looking up at him. "But seriously, we need to be smart about this. For her sake." "Agreed. Slow. Careful. Very slow. Very careful." They stared at each other for approximately 3 seconds before kissing again, this time with Jin-woo lifting her onto the desk, her legs wrapping around him, his hands sliding under her shirt. A knock at the door had them springing apart. "Mr. Kong." Mrs. Cho's voice. "There's a call from Seoul. They say it's urgent." Jin-woo closed his eyes, jaw clenched. "Of course it is." Maya slid off the desk, straightening her clothes. "Duty calls." "Unfortunately." He caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. "This isn't over. It better not be." As she turned to leave, she heard him answer the phone in rapid Korean. But she caught one phrase clearly, a phrase that made her stomach flip. She didn't speak Korean, but she'd learned enough to recognize teacher. And the way he said it, protective, possessive, dangerous, told her everything she needed to know. Jin-woo wasn't just falling for her. He was claiming her. And in his world, that meant something serious. That night, lying in bed, Maya stared at the ceiling and wondered what she'd gotten herself into. But when she thought about Jin-woo's smile, Hannah's laughter, the way it felt to finally have something real, She couldn't bring herself to regret it. Not even a little bit. Absolutely not. Maya stood in the doorway of Jin-woo's bedroom, a space she definitely shouldn't be in, holding a very enthusiastic Hannah by the hand. Dad, please. Hannah bounced on her toes. Ms. Thompson said she'd teach us how to make real soul food, but we need your help. Jin-woo looked up from his laptop, glasses perched on his nose, glasses that Maya found unfairly attractive, and raised an eyebrow. I don't cook. Exactly. Hannah grinned. That's the whole point. It'll be fun. What your daughter means, Maya said, fighting a smile, is that she's tired of only knowing Korean food and takeout. She wants to learn to cook, and I offered to teach her. But it's more fun as a family activity. The word family hung in the air, loaded with meaning. Jin-woo's eyes met Maya's, and heat flashed between them. They hadn't been alone since that kiss in his study 3 days ago, both carefully avoiding situations where they might combust. I have work. It's Saturday, Hannah interrupted. Even mob bosses get weekends off. Hannah. Maya gasped. Jin-woo actually laughed. Did you just? She's not wrong though, right? Hannah looked between them innocently. I'm 12, not stupid. I know what you do, Dad. And I think it's cool that you protect people. Jin-woo's expression softened in a way Maya had never seen. You do. Yeah. You're like Batman but Korean. Hannah shrugged. Now come on, I want to learn how to make fried chicken. 30 minutes later, Maya had taken over the kitchen, much to the chef's barely concealed horror. She'd sent him away with promises to clean up, and now she had flour, buttermilk, and chicken spread across the marble counters. Jin-woo had changed into jeans and a simple black t-shirt, his hair slightly messy, and Maya had to physically restrain herself from staring. Okay, she said, clapping her hands together. First lesson, seasoning is everything. Hannah, can you measure out the paprika? How much? That's the secret, you measure with your heart. Jin-woo snorted. That's not very precise. Says the man who's never cooked a day in his life. Maya hip-checked him playfully, then froze at the contact. So did he. Their eyes met, and the temperature in the kitchen rose about 20 degrees. Guys, Hannah sing-songed. Focus. Chicken. Cooking. Maya cleared her throat. Right. So Jin-woo, you're on dredging duty. Coat each piece in the flour mixture. I don't know what dredging means. It means, here, I'll show you. She moved behind him, guiding his hands. Big mistake. Huge. He was warm and solid, and she could feel his muscles flex under her touch. Jin-woo went very still. Like this. His voice was rougher than usual. Why yes. Exactly like that. Hannah watched them with undisguised glee, and Maya realized they'd been played. This whole cooking thing was a setup. Smart kid. They fell into a rhythm, Maya directing, Hannah measuring enthusiastically, and making a mess, Jin-woo following instructions with adorable concentration. He was actually terrible at cooking, which was somehow endearing. No, you have to here. Maya reached over to adjust his grip on the tongs, and their fingers brushed. Electricity. Sorry, he murmured, but he didn't move away. You're doing it wrong on purpose, aren't you? Maybe I just like having you close. Dad, Hannah groaned. That was so cheesy. Your father thinks he's smooth, Maya said, trying to ignore her racing heart. I am smooth. Jin-woo turned, and suddenly they were face to face, barely a breath apart. Usually. You make me forget how to be smooth. Hannah made exaggerated gagging noises. If you two are going to flirt, at least let me leave the room first. Maya jumped back, face burning. We're not. Please. You've been making eyes at each other for 2 weeks. It's actually gross. Hannah grinned. But also kind of cute. I approve, by the way. In case you were wondering. Jin-woo looked at his daughter, something vulnerable crossing his face. You approve. Dad, she makes you smile. Like, really smile. And she's amazing with me, and she's not afraid of you, and honestly. Hannah shrugged. I think you deserve to be happy. You've been sad for so long. Maya's heart cracked open a little. Jin-woo's jaw tightened with emotion. He pulled Hannah into a hug, pressing a kiss to her head. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just haven't been paying attention. But she hugged him back fiercely. Maya turned away, giving them privacy and also hiding the tears in her eyes. This family, broken and healing and learning to love again, had somehow become hers. Ms. Thompson. Hannah's voice was soft. You're part of this too. Come here. Before Maya could protest, she was pulled into a group hug, Jin-woo's arm wrapping around her shoulders, Hannah squished between them. There, Hannah said, satisfied. Now we're a proper family. They stood there in the kitchen, surrounded by flour and half-cooked chicken, and Maya thought, this is what home feels like. Eventually, they broke apart and finished cooking. The chicken was actually perfect, crispy, juicy, seasoned to perfection. They ate at the kitchen island instead of the formal dining room, laughing as Jin-woo struggled with the concept of eating with his hands. You're supposed to just bite it. Hannah demonstrated. This is undignified. This is delicious, Maya corrected. And dignity is overrated. Jin-woo took a bite, and his eyes widened. Okay, this is really good. Told you. Maya beamed. They spent the evening cooking side dishes, collard greens, mac and cheese, cornbread. Jin-woo was hopeless at most of it, but he tried, and his laughter filled the kitchen in a way Maya suspected was rare. By the time they finished, it was late, and Hannah was yawning. Bed, Jin-woo said. Now. But. Now, sweetheart. We can do this again next weekend. Hannah perked up. Promise. Promise. After Hannah reluctantly went upstairs, Maya and Jin-woo cleaned the kitchen in comfortable silence. Their hands kept brushing as they washed dishes, put things away, wiped down counters. Finally, everything was clean. Maya turned to leave, but Jin-woo caught her hand. Watch out for the part 2.